Hello, Tuesday, and we have an energy day today. And start with the gas pump. United States of America. The gas pump on the left, 2000 to 2009 average. Now, it's what do we pay for in a gallon of gasoline? In other words, what do we pay for in a gallon of gasoline? Well, that 2000-2009 average on the left, it was half crude oil. It was 15% refining, 12% distribution and marketing, and 22% in taxes, 2000-2009 average. 2010 annual average, the price percentage that you pay for a gallon of gas, the percentage that you're paying towards crude oil has gone up to 68%. Refining has been crushed to 7%. Quite a few refiners have now gone out of business, probably because of that. Distribution and marketing is down to 10%, and taxes are down to 15%. February 2012. Crude oil as a percentage is now up to nearly 3/4. It's 72%. Refining at 12%, distribution and marketing a lot lower at 5%, taxes only 11%. So, for easy thought, we have kind of three lots of prices in the world. There are the production countries that where you buy your gallon of gas for cents, almost nothing. There are countries like the United States that don't tax the gallon of gas much, and you work out about $4 a gallon. And countries like here in Europe, where the tax is very high, and you have to pay twice the $4 a gallon at $8 a gallon, 9 and 10 in some countries, $10 a gallon, mainly in taxes. Right, let's move on. Econ browser, which I normally use for economic type stuff, but we've got some oil in here. A rational reason for high oil prices. There is no rational reason for high oil prices. He writes like that. Al-Naimi, Saudi Arabia, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, in the Financial Times. Well, Econ Browser can think of one. If oil prices were lower, the world would want to consume more than is currently being produced. Put the prices down and there will be even more demand, which would drive the prices up again. Number 3. If efficiency hasn't cut energy use, then what? One of the most penetrating critiques of energy efficiency dogma you'll ever read is in this week's New Yorker. The Efficiency Dilemma by David Owen has this provocative subtitle: If our machines use less energy, will we just use them more? Owen's answer is a resounding, iconoclastic and probably correct yes. Owen's thesis is that as a society becomes more energy efficient, it becomes downright inefficient not to use more. The pursuit of efficiency is smart for individuals and businesses, but a dead end for energy and climate policy. This idea isn't wholly original. It's known as the Jevons paradox, and it's been out for 150 years. You can mandate that gas guzzlers should leave the roads and Priuses should be everywhere, but then the idea goes that at a constant price, the Prius drivers will just drive around an awful lot more than they did in their gas guzzlers. Oh, it's tricky. And this was Time magazine. There will be oil, and that's the problem, which sums up quite a lot of those last two articles. And that is the problem. There will be oil. There will be oil, but at what price? Grigor gives us a chart for non-OPEC average annual crude oil supply in millions of barrels a day. 2001 this chart starts, and it's up, cutting the top of the chart off. So we're starting in 2001 with 40 million barrels a day non-OPEC, so this is Russia type stuff. But these guys, everyone thinks that OPEC opens the valves and closes the valves because they're a cartel. Non-OPEC just pump their little bottoms off. So they pumped right up until 2004 when they got to 42.134. But then it was a fall down, and still that last little turn down during this last year of consistently high oil prices, they've gone down from 42.4 down to 42.2. Non-OPEC. They can't bring any more supply online. If they could, they would. And if they did, it would be bought. But at what price? Just for interest's sake, you can go to the oil drum, and they've done a review of the Citigroup prediction on US energy, where the United States, you can see in that little chart below, US production could overtake Saudi Arabia and Russia this decade in oil production. And you see Canada and Mexico, they're turning up as well. You've got to read the whole thing. Obviously it says that Citigroup have overdone this, but we must say it's overdone, but it's based on some facts. And the easy fact to get out of this is North America is not a bad place to be for getting BTUs of energy in the future. Right. Move over the Atlantic to the United Kingdom. UK oil. Plummeting production versus media inattention. Dun-dun. This article was inspired by the disjuncture between a UK government document which reveals a stunning decline in UK oil production as opposed to British media inattention to this worrisome development. Do you like that? That's quite British, don't you think? Worrisome. Gosh, this is worrisome. The website of the Department of Energy and Climate Change states, total indigenous UK production of crude oil and natural gas liquids, their liquids, in the third quarter of 2011 was 22.7% lower than a year before. For the first time since quarterly records began, imports of crude oil exceeded indigenous production. Oh dear. Let's move on to the Telegraph, and I've stretched it up because this is the Telegraph, and normally Popsy would write an article like this, being their energy correspondent, but this looks like it's Popsy's friend from school. A 21% slump in the UK's natural gas production levels. I think there's a slight confusion here, but we are now, last one was oil, and now we're on gas. UK's natural gas production levels took them below the volume of gas the UK imported, even though the volume of gas imports actually fell slightly. Oil production fell 17.5%, continuing the downward trend in recent years. The reduction in North Sea oil and gas activity was blamed on maintenance activities and slowdowns. The overall level of net import dependency was the highest since 1976, according to the statistics released by the DECC. The figures show that UK became increasingly reliant on shipments of liquefied natural gas, which accounted for 47% of gas imports in 2011. DECC IPCC said 2011 gross imports of natural gas were greater than gross production for the first time since 1967. A couple of paragraphs I've taken from The Guardian in the UK. You'll get the idea, although this is towards the end of the article. In fact, is the end of the article. Boasts that the black gold, oil and natural gas in the North Sea would retool British industry proved utterly hollow. If anything, oil added to the woes of manufacturing, since sterling's status as a petrocurrency drove up the exchange rate and made exports uncompetitive. A fraction of the billions creamed off by the Treasury might have been used as the capital for a national investment bank, but neither Conservatives nor Labour governments saw fit to use the receipts for this purpose. Lower North Sea oil production is one reason for Britain's weak economic recovery and makes it harder for Osborne to balance the books. Even more worryingly, acute energy dependency looms. The coal mines have been closed. The older nuclear power stations are on their last legs. The gush from North Sea will soon be a mere dribble. An entire era can be summed up in 3 words: discovered, extracted, squandered. So, if North America are going to have a coming boom, let's hope that they don't do a similar thing. These BTUs are, every little one of them, precious. Bye.